Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Oscar's Cozy Corner. Wow, what a day! What a showcase! What a reveal! I don't know about you, but I'm feeling very overwhelmed with everything that we got from the Disney Dreamlight Valley showcase this year. There was so much content and so much to go through. I thought, I need to do some sort of breakdown. The biggest news on everyone's lips is, of course, the brand new DLC expansion pass that is coming on the 20th of November, just a couple of weeks away, called the Storybook Vale. This is an incredible new map, giving us tons of new content, story, characters, foliage, recipes, everything that you could think of will be coming with this new expansion pass. So because of that, I thought that I would do a breakdown video of everything that we know so far about the new DLC, the Storybook Vale, and what we might be able to expect over the next couple of months. So sit back, relax, enjoy while I take you through everything that we know about this brand new world. So first up, I want to talk biomes, I want to talk the map, I want to go over everything that we're going to be getting in Storybook Vale. Our first stop when we seem to land in this expansion pass is going to be a place called the Bind. After that, it does seem as though we're going to be able to expand out one side to Everafter and one side to Mythopia. Now, I love these names right off the bat. I think they are brilliant. They all play together, they intertwine, and really that cohesion is carried throughout this new DLC. If we stick with the Bind, because that seems as though that is the first biome that we land in when we arrive at Storybook Vale, you will see immediately that this place is covered in orange and red trees. It definitely gives a real fall autumn ambiance, but I actually think that it's not limited to fall and this is going to work all year round. There are so many new items and so many things to explore here. If you look, you will spot libraries, you will spot bookcases nestled into the hillside, you will see trees with books coming out of them. There is pages in the trees. Everything in this biome and the attention to detail for giving it a storybook vibe has just been hit 100%. More colored foliage and more colored natural elements have been a long requested feature of Dreamlight Valley, and it's amazing that they're finally bringing all of these vibrant elements to the game, even if it is in a DLC expansion pass. But as I said, the attention to detail, particularly in this biome, has just been second to none. There's something to look at in every single frame. Steven, the art director for this game, who we saw in the showcase stream, does go ahead and say that they wanted to lean into the dark academia side of things. Now, I don't see the darkness, but I do see the cozy, unique aspect that he was describing in the showcase. He says it's a wonderful place to curl up with a good book. And I mean, as I said on my stream, I don't think I'm ever going to be reading again. How will I when I'm going to be playing Storybook Vale? The wonderful thing about these new biomes and when we get a new expansion pass like this is all of the new furniture that comes with it. So all of these trees, all of these flower bushes, everything that you see should be coming to Dreamlight Valley in the base game as well as in the expansion pass. You will obviously have to purchase the expansion pass to get them, but you will unlock all of this new furniture and all of these new items. Touching on something they also brought up in the showcase stream, and that is that Scrooge's and Remy's will also be getting custom styles and custom skins depending on the biome that they're placed in. We were shown the Bind biome, and we were shown that both of those buildings are completely immersed and completely in the same art style. They didn't show these in either of the other biomes, so I will be curious to see if when we move them, if those buildings do adapt to the biome that they are fitted in. It was alluded to that that might be the case. However, we'll just have to wait and see. Regardless, these new skins look incredible. It has been a wish list of players for so long to have these themed to biomes and things like that. So the fact they're actually going down this route is really, really positive. One thing to note, Goofy stalls were in the premium shop, so there could be a chance that these might be premium items, but because we're purchasing the DLC, it might be the fact that they are just included. Moving on to Mythopia. Now, as Yanan said in the showcase stream, this is inspired by Greco-Roman culture and ancient myths, which is very, very exciting. It absolutely ties in with Hades. This is what I would consider Hades' biome, if you will. When I move on to characters and the story in just a second, you'll see how perfectly he ties in. But yeah, as Hades is coming to the game and as this is Greek and Roman and ancient myths inspired, this is the perfect biome for Hades to live and the perfect biome to really unravel that story. This biome is much more yellow than anything we've had before. If you thought the Sunlit Plateau was warm and yellow, this is on another level. This has fields of golden wheat. It has windmills up on the hillside with turning windmills. It has pink flowers. It has yellow flowers. It has cypress trees, it's got olive trees, everything that you could think of from like a Greco-Roman standpoint is in this biome. There does appear to be new resources in this biome, as I'm sure there is in every biome that we get. However, these ones seem to be Roman columns or something like that with magenta flowers over them that I assume will break up, and perhaps we'll get something like marble or something along those lines in terms of a resource. There are these really interesting structures. At first, I thought these were wells, but on reflection, there are wells already in the trailer, so this structure is not a well, and there is also one in the Everafter biome. What these could be yet, I do not know. They weren't revealed. It doesn't seem as though there was any sort of like quest indication or any particular interaction with them. I was wondering whether it could be some sort of gathering feature like the gazebo, but I don't know. It seems interesting. It seems like a little space that we might be able to go in. And it's beautifully designed. I mean, especially with the Roman columns surrounding it, just the whole environment just looks absolutely incredible. Moving on to Everafter, this is much gloomier, this is much darker, it's reminiscent of the Forgotten Lands. It's probably the most like the biome that we already have in the valley. However, it definitely has all of its own unique quirks and features, and this is obviously going to be the home of our other main villain of this expansion pass, and that is Maleficent. There's a lot more ruins here, there's a lot more brickwork, there's a lot more destruction, I would say, and the whole vibe of this land is sort of purples, pinks, lilacs, dark, gloomy, and mushrooms. That is the big ticket for this biome if you're a mushroom fan. Steven says in the showcase that this was taken from Scandinavian and Scottish folklore, which actually comes through pretty well. There's also a hint of Fey mythology, but I mean, just look at the size of these mushrooms. This is insane. When Dreamlight Valley does scale, it does scale so well. I know that there are going to be hundreds and thousands of people out there that are desperate for mushrooms in their valleys, and this is going to be everything that you ever wanted and more. There's multiple types of mushrooms. There's big, there's small, there's bioluminescent. If you love mushrooms, you just cannot get enough. It's very mushroom forest. It's very windswept moorlands. The fact that they all have a glow at night is just mind-blowing. I just cannot wait. I feel like these are going to be in Dream Snaps forevermore, here on out. There does appear to be new grasses as well, new flower bushes. Everything is in like purple, pinks, lilacs, those sort of colors in this land. And then there are some sort of mushrooms or bioluminescent moss as well in like a green aqua color, which look amazing as well. I just cannot wait to get my hands on this. I just cannot wait. There are a couple of things that reach across all of the biomes, and one I wanted to touch on is the ink. So the ink that we see is kind of the same thing as, I think, probably the Splinters of Fate and the Night Thorns in the valley. So this seems to be the new thing that we get rid of. I'm assuming it gives us some sort of in-game currency like Mist or like Dreamlight, possibly even ink itself. But we do seem as though we're going to have to clean the ink up, and that will be whatever we use to sort of like craft with, or maybe use at a new crafting table, something like that. That spreads across all of the biomes, and actually, even the ink looks really good. It does kind of remind me of Epic Mickey, I think the paintbrush game, but yeah, regardless, that looks fun, and I can't wait to see how we interact with that. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on is these really big new elements. So Gameloft say in the trailer and the showcase that they wanted to play with scale this time around, and I think that is such a smart decision. They've obviously taken inspiration from the Disney parks and how they play with perspective and making things feel much bigger than they actually are. So new prominent landmarks have been introduced. You will see a number of them throughout the trailer. There are huge Pegasus statues made out of rock. There's a gigantic Hades statue, and there's also a really big teapot inspired by the Mad Hatter. So it was said that they wanted these to be drawn from Pixar and Disney inspired, so there might be more that we haven't seen in the trailer. But these point of references and these points of interest make it so much easier to navigate around a map and make it so much easier to find your way around, which is what Eternity Isle was lacking in. There was no sort of big, this is where you are, to really get an idea of which way you need to go. So having these as a point of reference is going to be amazing, and they look brilliant. All right, moving on to the characters and a little bit that we know about the story. We are getting 5 new characters with this DLC. 4 of them are obvious at first glance, and then the 5th is kind of a secret slash Oswald style character that I think we're probably going to unlock in the second half of next year. First up, I need to start with the name that's been on everybody's lips, and that is Flynn Rider. We are finally getting Flynn into the game. It's interesting that he's coming through a DLC as well, because now both Rapunzel and Flynn have been locked behind a paywall. However, for those of you who did want Flynn to come to the game, it is about time. He's finally here. I think his character model looks really good. They've got the smolder that he does down pretty well. So yeah, he looks great. It's fun to have another male character in the valley and one with a bit of personality. So I'm excited to see how he interacts with the rest of the villagers and how he interacts with Rapunzel if you have a rift in time. We're also getting Merida, who is obviously from Brave. Now, Stephen does say in the showcase that one of the lands was inspired by Scotland, so there's no surprise that Merida has come to the game. I think they've done a good job with her too. The one thing that is difficult, and I know is difficult to animate, is hair. Obviously, Merida has a mass of hair, a massive orange hair, which looks fantastic in the film. They did a great job, and I do think they've done a really reasonable job with transferring it to the game. So I'm not overly familiar with Brave, I won't lie. I'm going to have to watch it before the DLC comes out just to get a sense of who Merida is and get a better idea of what she's about. However, I know that she is quite a highly requested character, so I'm glad that she's also coming to the Valley this time around. Moving on to the biggest tease of all, which is what we've had for weeks and weeks and weeks, that tapestry of Maleficent and Hades has finally confirmed that they are both coming to the game. We get a first glimpse at Maleficent's character model and Hades, and I will say both of these do look great. These are two of the most requested characters ever, I would say, in the history of Dreamlight Valley, even though it's only a couple of years old, but there has been non-stop chatter about getting more villains, and especially these villains into the game. So I'm so pleased that they're finally going to come to the Valley and we're going to be able to interact with them. I love the way that Maleficent is engulfed in green flames. I love the way that Hades still has his flame hair, and everything about him just screams Hades. It just works so well. It does seem like Hades is going to be able to be unlocked immediately, but Maleficent is going to come a little later. They do say that we'll run into Maleficent in the first half of this expansion. However, unlocking her and her quests are going to come over the course of the next 6 to 8 months, something around there. Finally, there was a not so subtle, but subtle hint to our final character coming with this expansion pass. And even though she wasn't revealed, we can see her silhouette quite clearly in the floor, and that is Aurora, otherwise known as Sleeping Beauty. Even though she's not the most popular princess of all time, I do think that Sleeping Beauty is still incredibly popular, and people have been asking for her because everyone wants all of the princesses in the game. So the fact that we might be able to get her next year is a real big bonus, and it seems as though she might come to the game as sort of an Oswald style character that kind of comes up on you from nowhere, and then yeah, we get to unlock her with Maleficent and work out whatever that story quest might be. Very exciting. Can't wait to see what that turns out like. And yeah, it's going to be great to get another princess in the game. In terms of the story, we know we're going to access this DLC from Stardust Port once again. So however we arrive for the first time, it's going to take us to the Vale, and we're going to be introduced to this new talking pedestal, which is called the Lawkeeper. Now, a storybook does sit atop this pedestal, and that is the motif that we've been seeing constantly over the past few weeks in a similar way to the way that they used the hourglass last year. I knew that this was going to play a huge part in the story, and it does seem like it's going to be the central core of all of the quest lines and sort of like new crafting features, new critters, all of that sort of thing. Overall, the story is that Maleficent and Hades did actually get along at one point, and they sort of broke away from the valley and they created this Storybook Vale land. However, as villains do best, they had a very nasty conflict and it ripped the land apart, splitting the tapestry that we've seen multiple times and spilling ink that we touched on in the biomes everywhere. As for the story itself, we don't know much more than that. However, I would take a guess that there is going to be some sort of showdown between Maleficent and Hades. We might be using Merlin, we might be using Mickey as well from the base game to really bring that story together and work out whether we need to beat the villains, whether we bring them back together, whether we make them harmonious. That remains to be seen. However, it's only 3 weeks away, so we can get our teeth into that very soon. Storybook Vale itself is framed as a land of myths, legends, monsters, all of that sort of thing. And yeah, that gets taken over by Maleficent and Hades, which, as I just said, rip it all apart and create havoc, which is why we have to come in and rescue them. As I touched on earlier, the cohesion for this DLC expansion is just second to none. It is so much more cohesive than Eternity Isle ever was, through the characters, through the critters, through the storytelling, through the biomes, everything so far, and I've not even touched on everything yet, just looks absolutely incredible, and Gameloft have done an incredible job. We are getting a new royal tool with this DLC, and it is called a royal net. Now, this is going to be used to catch things called snippets. These little origami pieces that float around the valley or hop around the valley are called snippets. And now we have a bird, we have a frog, and we have something else, and I can't really work out what it is. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's probably recognizable, but somebody can correct me in the comments. It's kind of like a squirrel, some sort of thing like that. It's got big ears and a long nose. I thought it was an anteater, but it's definitely not. Interestingly, it was said that each snippet comes with its own unique way to be captured, kind of like critters, and that we're going to have to figure it out, as well as the fact there are critters across Storybook Vale, but there will also be some very rare and special ones in the actual valley. So the idea is that we piece back together the Lawkeeper's story. So once you actually catch these snippets, you can take them to the Lawkeeper, and then the Lawkeeper's pages will be restored through a new puzzle minigame. You actually create a tapestry in this new minigame. It's kind of like a puzzle piece minigame. You fit all the pieces together. So I assume what happens is when you capture a snippet, you will get a new piece of a puzzle. No word on how many puzzles there are. These are kind of like memories that you piece together yourself. It actually means that you'll be able to complete them quite quickly because you can actually catch the snippets without having to wait for RNG to throw you a memory orb. But then at the end, you create a beautiful tapestry that you can display anywhere. It says that you can take it back to the valley, so I assume that we can show it in memory frames. Or maybe we'll even get a piece of furniture that we can place down on the walls as a nice big tapestry. Regardless, the design of the tapestries are beautiful. There is one as well that shows a lot of Sorcerer Mickey, so I have a feeling that in the way we got the Steamboat Willie dream style for Mickey in the previous expansion, we will be getting a Sorcerer Mickey dream style for this one, and I wonder if that sets a precedent for getting a dream style for Mickey in every expansion going forward. As for the roll tool itself, no word on if it will be useful for anything else just yet, but hopefully Gameloft have already prepared a backfill for the tool sets that we have, and it doesn't take as long as it did last time to get a new skin for the royal tool. Obviously, when the Hourglass came out, there'd only been 2 tool sets, so it did take a while for those to get the updates. However, there are a bunch of tool sets this time, so I'm hoping that the dev team have already prepped those in advance, and we will get a brand new additional skinned royal tool when the DLC drops. Moving on, there is a very ominous section called Trials. Now, there wasn't a lot of detail released about this. It is quite scarce. There's not a lot known about it. I don't actually know where this building is. It might be in the base of Maleficent's castle that's kind of featured up in the sky at some point. However, it was said that throughout our journey through the Vale, we will uncover trials, and that these trials are special quests inspired by fairy tales and myths. What that means remains to be seen. However, it does say that only we can set them right as a player because they've become scrambled, and we will be using the full breadth of royal tools, old and new. That was pointed out as a key point, so it does seem like we won't just be using the net for whatever this turns out to be. However, that's pretty much it for that. So trials could be something totally unknown. We don't know what that's going to be. It could be side quests, it could be brain teasers, you know, the way that we worked out things with Jafar's quest. I don't know. That one is quite exciting because it's the thing that we know the least about. It was touched on during the showcase stream that the expansion pass roadmap would be slightly different this time. Instead of being in 3 acts, they're now calling it 2 parts. So there's a part 1 and a part 2. Part 1 is Welcome to the Vale. That is coming out on November 20th. So that is literally just 3 weeks' time. And this one says that you'll go on a mythical adventure to help the Lawkeeper restore a faraway land while encountering Merida, Flynn, and Hades along the way. So in 3 weeks' time, we're going to be able to download the expansion and unlock 3 characters all in one go. And then part 2, The Unwritten Realms, that's coming out summer 2025. Now, we know Gameloft, that could be any time from June through August. But for this one, it does say, with the help of Maleficent, venture into a strange world beneath the Storybook Vale and solve the mystery of the missing princess. Now, we can see up in the distance of that image, there is a castle up there just at the top. And I think Aurora, Sleeping Beauty, is probably going to be in there. And we have to find out some way that we can get up and unlock her to free her. But you can fact check me on that in 6 to 8 months' time when part 2 finally comes out. It was said that this is a way of not keeping us waiting too long for future content, and that both parts are going to actually have more content than Act 1, 2, and 3 of A Rift in Time. I'm really interested to see how this turns out because having 2 parts feels like a longer wait, even though they're framing it as not being a longer wait. So I'm really interested to see how much content is going to be in this part 1 to tide us over until summer 2025. because that does feel like a lifetime away given we're only just in the middle of autumn. All right, moving on from the snippets that we saw just a second ago onto the actual critters, and I will say these might be the best critters that Dreamlight Valley has ever produced. First up, we have this wonderfully cute looking owl, those big beady eyes, everything about this just screams cute. The colorway is amazing, the purple with the blue, the big orange eyes. Yeah, this owl looks a lot of fun. We are going to be getting these critters in multiple colorways, which is a bonus. The Eternity Owl ones were kind of muted for some of them, especially like the monkeys. So the fact we're getting really colorful critters across this Storybook Vale land brings me so much joy. As usual, these critters do have their own catching mechanics, as has been said, so we'll have to wait and see how we actually go ahead and catch these. But it will be nice to be able to get some new critters and, critically, new poses. So as I said, this owl is going to be found in the bind. You can see that it is currently in that original orange biome, which is the one that I think we're going to land in. So these might be the first critters that you actually come across. Now, over in Everafter, they're giving us mini baby dragons. Now, I can't explain to you how cute these dragons are. For any of you born in the 90s or before, maybe you could see a bit of Spyro in this. I did when they first showed it. I saw baby Spyro. If we do get a purple colorway, then that is all I'm going to see. There's little horns, there's little wings, big beady eyes. I can't with this. I feel sorry for Figaro because I currently have Figaro as my main companion, but Figaro is going to bed. Figaro is going to go to the house and sleep tight, and these dragons are going to be mine. Absolutely. However, I know that this one is going to be the big ticket item for most players, and this is winged horses in Mythopia. Again, they've gone with like a baby animal theme for this DLC, and I just can't. There's nothing else to say. I just can't. This little baby blue sort of mini Pegasus is just chef's kiss. What a wonderful job and a wonderful set of critters. I cannot wait to see what poses we get with them and to see all of the other colorways. Just amazingly done. Even though this is outside of the biome chapter that I've just done, I do want to give a shout out to the foliage and the fauna and everything that is sort of like furniture related and natural related. They've done another wonderful job. I keep praising them, but it's true. This showcase was incredible. There is so much new foliage and so many new trees, so many new flower bushes to come to the game. I just have to give a quick shout out to those in their own little section. I'll go through each individual biome and I'll point a few things out. So first up in the bind, as I've said, there's orange trees, there's yellow trees. Those are some of the most highly requested trees in the game. But you will see that all of these trees and all of these pieces of foliage kind of have like books interwoven. They have libraries buried inside the trunks. It feels so whimsical. It feels so Disney. That's what I really love about this. Compared to Eternity Isle, it just feels so Disney. The yellow trees are beautiful, the orange trees are beautiful. It's going to give us such a wider range of color palette to play with the trees, especially because they've managed to bring them in through this kind of mythical and mystical sort of way. It just opens up the possibilities. In Mythopia, there are a bunch of new flowers. There are some clusters of flowers that have like pink and purple on them. There is a big green bush with like magenta flowers running through it. Also amazing. We've got cypress trees, long, thin, slender ones. If you're doing sort of like a formal build, those are going to look absolutely incredible. Plus, the base of that biome is like yellow. We're getting more yellow grasses. I feel like it's just really fun. And I hope that they do, in the way we have like beach grasses and stuff, they do add the yellow grasses from here and the purple grasses from Everafter. Speaking of Everafter, there does seem to be like lilac grasses, and there are a couple of new flower bushes that have red flowers on them. The lilac tones are amazing. I feel like we only have like one or two purple trees at the moment. So to bring in brand new trees, brand new grasses, all in those like purples and lilac tones is going to change the game for me. You know how much I love purple. If you've looked at my channel, everything is purple. So I feel like this biome might have been made for Oscar's Cozy Corner. The actual flowers themselves were touched on briefly. So in Mythopia, we do have poppies, and then there's also buried lightning strikes, which is really cool, and also bougainvillea. Poppies has been one that I've wanted to see for ages. I mean, I always want to see new flowers in the game, so that is a huge bonus for me. And then if we move over to Everafter, there are also bioluminescent mosses and giant flora. So there's going to be giant flowers, either that we might be able to pick up or at least decorate with. Let's see when the game comes out just what we can do. I feel like this is going to change builds forever. This is going to change Dream Snaps forever, and I cannot wait to see how it turns out. Finally, I just want to touch on crops and recipes that we will be getting with this DLC. Now, these are speculative because I'm trying to work them out just from what I'm seeing on screen. However, it does seem as though we're getting cauliflower. I think there's perhaps squash in there. And then I'm not entirely sure what the purple stemmed one is. It does also look like there's another type of wheat. So it's good to get confirmation that we are getting new crops, and we're also getting new fish. It was told that we will be getting koi along with seawolf fish and sea grapes. Sea grapes are not a fish. However, we will be able to fish those out of the waters in the bind. It seems like we're getting some variation of a strawberry. This is kind of like a twisted strawberry or something like that. And then we're also getting green beans and porcini, as well as little mushroom looking things called ambrosia. There are a bunch of new recipes shown on a table here. It kind of looks like a Mad Hatter's Tea Party inspired table. But we see everything from green beans to a new pie to a new fish dish, as well as some desserts. There's pancakes in there. There is a golden apple, which is interesting, and there's some olives to nibble on as well. There are a number of bundles being released with this new expansion pass, so be aware you might want to pick wisely and choose whatever one suits your needs and what you can afford. There is going to be a regular version of the DLC, which is just called the Storybook Vale. You obviously need the base game to play this one. You will get access to Storybook Vale. You'll also get 5,000 moonstones, and this is $29.99. It could change depending on where you are in the world, so keep an eye out for your local currency. However, there is also another version, which is called the Magical Edition. This one will get you the expansion. Of course, you need the base game as well. You'll get 10,000 moonstones with this version, and you'll also get a bunch of exclusive items, the Autumn Manor House style, the Storybook Vale dress and ensemble, and Baby Pegasus companion and house. Now, the Baby Pegasus is absolutely adorable. However, it is worth noting that this bundle is going to cost you $49.99. So that is quite expensive. But of course, it's up to you to put the worth on this DLC and decide which version of the expansion pass you want to purchase. Personally, I really do love the bonus content, the exclusive items. I feel like the Autumn Manor house style is really, really nice. It's beautifully done. It fits with the library biome, the bind perfectly, and the dress and ensemble go together really nicely as well. They haven't forgotten about the male players for once, which is amazing. And actually, I would go ahead and say that the male outfit is probably nicer than the female outfit for this one, because the female outfit, while nice, is kind of basic compared to the male. You obviously do get the 10,000 moonstones, and then, as I touched on, you get the Baby Pegasus and Companion House. The Companion House is adorable, so is the Pegasus, but the fact it's kind of like that small Grecian structure as a little house for Pegasus is very, very cute. So yeah, I'm probably going to get that one if I can. Mac dependent, you can't always buy that edition, so I'll have to see what I can purchase. However, for me, I think that those rewards are really fun, and I like that. If you're new to Dreamlight Valley, or you just want to purchase something else, you might want to purchase Storybook Vale and get some more moonstones. There's a quite confusing approach that can be taken sometimes. However, there's a new Enchanted Edition as well as the Storybook Vale bundle under the game editions. So those purchases will get you the base game and Storybook Vale. That one will come under the Storybook Vale bundle. However, the Enchanted Edition will get you the base game, Storybook Vale, and A Rift in Time, as well as 18,000 moonstones, all of those exclusive items, for just $79.99. I say just because if you're approaching the game for the first time, perhaps you've never played Dreamlight Valley, perhaps you've never purchased it. Some of us will be paying $49.99 just for the Storybook Vale expansion with the items. You could be paying $79.99 for the base game, both DLCs, 18,000 moonstones, and the same items. So if you haven't played before, that is a no-brainer. Definitely get that one. It is well worth its money. Before I wind this video down, I did just want to give a shout out to the key art. Now, the key art for Storybook Vale might be the best key art that we've ever gotten for Disney Dreamlight Valley. The art direction is amazing. I don't know what's happened at Gameloft. I don't know if there was a change in staffing, but the new art direction that we seem to be getting, the detail is just impeccable. I know this is a downloadable piece, so I know that this is costing us money. However, it feels head and shoulders above A Rift in Time. I feel like the two aren't comparable at the moment, just based off this key art. From what we've seen, I am so impressed. And I did just want to give a shout out to the artists, to the devs for pulling this off, because you really do get a sense of what this DLC is going to be like. And I think they've just captured the vibe and everything that's coming to this expansion perfectly. So yeah, I just wanted to give a really quick shout out to the key art and to the devs and to Gameloft for pulling off what seems to be so far, without playing the expansion, a really, really impeccable addition to the story. All right, gang, that is my comprehensive slash non-comprehensive look at what we know from the showcase trailer. I do have a live reaction and a more detailed breakdown on the live stream that I did on Showcase Day. So if you do want to see my initial thoughts, how I reacted, everything to do with the showcase yesterday, go ahead and check that out on my channel. Otherwise, I hope this was a helpful look and a helpful summary of what we got from the showcase stream and what we can look forward to with this new DLC. But I want to hear what you think. I want to hear your thoughts. This is one of the most anticipated events and anticipated downloadable expansion packs that I've come across in gaming. So I would love to know what your thoughts are. Please let me know down in the comments. What is your favorite part? Which character are you most looking forward to? What is your favorite biome? There is so much to talk about. With that being said, if you did enjoy this video and you do enjoy my content, feel free to give me a like. I would love for you to subscribe to the channel and become part of our cozy corner. It is a pleasure to have you all here. I enjoy this so much, you have no idea. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching. I will catch you in the next one, and I will, of course, see you in the valley. And soon to be Storybook Vale.